welcome to another video. I'm Emily and I'm just so glad that you are here today. I'm hoping that this will be the first in a new series of videos on my YouTube channel where I'm going to be talking about sewing, specifically about sewing. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, of my podcast, you know that I typically make semi-regular podcast videos talking all about my knitting, and I've tried doing a few different things of combining everything into one video, and then I end up with these very long videos that are challenging to edit and just process and get up onto YouTube. And so I've been really sort of figuring out what works for me, and so I've kind of restarted up my booktube channel, where I have my channel called Wooden Reads. I'll link it down below, and I just talk about books, and I've made 2 or 3 videos here in the last couple of months, and I've just been absolutely loving it, or the last month. It has been so much fun, and it's easier because I'm able to do shorter videos, which less editing, easier to get up online. So that gave me the idea that I could do a series of videos called Wooden Sews, and it'll be talking specifically about my different sewing projects that I'm working on. One of the things that I really want to try and do this year is to get back into sewing a bit more. As you may know, if you've watched my knitting podcast, I've mentioned that ever since kind of being pregnant with my first child, and I'm not pregnant with our second child, but especially ever since being pregnant with our first child, it really threw me for a loop in the sewing department, and I kind of lost a lot of the joy and fun and love that I had for sewing, because with my body changing so much, it just felt like such a big ordeal to try and figure out how to go through the whole hassle of refitting my body, because it took me years to get to the point where I was just really comfortable and I could sit down to make a dress and I knew it was going to fit because I knew how to make all of the tweaks. Didn't matter if it was a new pattern or not. I could tell by looking at things. Like I knew how to make things that worked for me. And yes, I would have some sewing fails here and there, but by and large, everything was fine. And then I got pregnant and that just changed. So many of the things that I used to do to fit my body and make it work suddenly didn't work anymore, and it has just been a learning experience to try and get past that. I've had a lot. It was like a sewing failure after sewing failure after sewing failure, and it was just so discouraging. And it didn't help that honestly, like, I've been doing a good bit of knitting for the last several years, probably almost 10 years at this point, but I feel like as my love for sewing kind of dwindled, my love for knitting just exploded even more than it ever had before. And so it didn't help that I was getting so much joy out of my knitting to when I had free time to pick between knitting and sewing, it was going to be knitting. But I have missed making my own clothes. I have missed being able to have that fun of making things that fit me, that feel right, and yeah. I have missed it so desperately, and I'm really trying to get back into it this year. So I'm hoping that this little series of videos, each one will be about 15 to 20 minutes long at the most. Maybe some of them will be shorter, like 10 minutes long or something. But my hope with this series is that I can focus on a specific project. Today we're going to talk about the dress I'm wearing. But I'll focus on a specific project and I'll kind of talk through it, you know, the fabric that I used and size and whatever tweaks that I made to it, and then kind of do a little sneak peek for the next project I'm working on. And that hopefully this will be a fun way that I can kind of share and talk about my sewing a little bit more. I've tried to do like sort of vlog style videos where I kind of film the process of making the dress, and it just doesn't work for me right now. I'm hoping that I'll get to the point where it does, but I feel like right now my relationship with sewing is a bit tenuous. And so any sort of filming just really slows down the process and makes it so much harder to push through and do. Because right now, the main time that I try and do any sort of sewing is on the weekend when my husband's home and he can watch our toddler. Technically, I could do it during nap time, but feel nervous about it. Our office, my husband's in my joint office, sewing craft whatever space is right next to our toddler's room, and so when he's napping, I'm always just on edge that like I'm gonna drop the scissors or I'm gonna do something and it's gonna wake him up, and so it's just not very relaxing. So what I've been trying to do is the last couple of weekends is my husband will watch our toddler, and then I just kind of focus for like an hour and a half or something and work on some knitting, and I don't have to worry about anything. I just sew, not knit. I think I just said knit. I focus on some sewing. Knitting's easier because I can kind of squeeze it in throughout the day, and I'll do a little bit, like I'll sit on the couch while the toddler's playing over here and bits and pieces, or if we're outside, I'll take my knitting with me outside. It's just, it's an easier on the go project, process, craft. Sewing is not. You've got the whole sewing machine and the iron and everything else. So that is what I hope this series to be. Let's go ahead and start talking about this dress that I'm wearing. This is a version of the Deer Doe Myosotis dress, and I made 2 or 3 of these during my previous pregnancy, and I love them. I was like, oh, these are going to be perfect. It has these buttons down the front here. I did take a little bit of B-roll, so I'll probably pop it up over here, and you can kind of see how the dress actually looks. I made a couple of these dresses while I was pregnant. However, I made them with not enough ease in them, particularly in the bust area and in the arm area and stuff, to where when I was trying to use them for nursing, for breastfeeding afterwards, it was cutting into my arm a lot to like pull the side down and try and, you know, feed the baby. It was just really uncomfortable, and it would pull, because I was having to pull it down, then it would pull on the back of my neck. It just wasn't comfortable. And then they were just, yeah, they were just a bit too tight over the bust and everything. So I ended up very recently giving those to my sister, in the hopes that maybe she would be able to wear them a little bit, because I really love them, but they just made me feel so sad knowing that I still had them, and I kept them in my closet for the longest time, and then they were in a box somewhere. It was just really depressing. So I have given those away, and what I did for this one is I went up like 2 or 3 sizes or something, because my goal is for it to fit but to also have some ease to it. So that's what I think I used the size. Their sizes are a bit weird. I'm pretty sure I went with a size 50 in the pattern. And I'll link the pattern down below if you want to take a look at it and check it out. But it's just this beautiful, beautiful dress. It's got a simple bodice. It has the button front. I use snaps. I use snaps pretty much almost exclusively at this point, just because they're so much easier. You don't have to do buttonholes. And when it comes to nursing and things, it is so much easier to just snap things up than having to like wrangle buttons. I found that out very quickly with my first baby, where I was just like, yeah, I hate anything with buttons because they just take so long, and usually baby's squirming everywhere. And with this being our second baby that's due to arrive in just a few months, there's going to be a toddler running around while I'm trying to like do stuff, so snaps are the way to go for me. It has this lovely stand collar detail. It has short sleeves. I'm pretty sure I just used the regular sleeve pattern for this one. I'm notorious for majorly hacking and tweaking and adjusting patterns at this point. The skirt, I just used a basic rectangle gathered skirt. I did not use the included skirt in the pattern. Part of that was because I wanted it to have a bit more room in it for a growing baby bump than what the pattern called for, and so it's just a little bit wider than it's gathered into the waist of the top. It has waist and bust darts on the front, and then waist darts in the back, which yes, I did put them in on here. But yeah, so the bodice is from the pattern. I didn't make any tweaks to it. I just went up 2 or 3 sizes and was like, okay, we're gonna start here. We're gonna see how this fits. I love it. I love it so much. I was telling my husband, I was just like, wearing this dress just makes me feel like me again, because I have so missed just my cute little 1950s inspired style clothing. I have missed it so much, and it has been so hard for me to kind of transition over to more of a mom-friendly wardrobe that's usually, you know, stretchy fabrics and things. It's just, it's more convenient, it's easier, but oh man, do I miss my regular dresses and stuff. So I absolutely love it. I'm not sure how it's gonna work once I start nursing again. My toddler finally weaned about a month. I think it's been about 2 months now that he's weaned, so I haven't had to try to do any sort of nursing in this dress. I'm hoping that there's enough excess fabric in here and everything that it'll be fine. Again, I don't know. Right now, it fits beautifully. I feel cute, I feel feminine, I feel ladylike and elegant again. I absolutely love it. The one thing that, well, there's a couple things that I would change about this dress because I have fabric to cut out more. For whatever reason, and I don't know if this is because it's the larger size or if it's just because I'm pregnant and I'm just more sensitive to things. This stand collar piece has been driving me nuts. So when I wear this, I typically do that. And what I'm planning to do is I'm going to go back in and probably just, I don't know if you can see this, but take this collar stand piece off and either finish the neckline with a piece of bias binding or something and just pull that off. But for right now, because I haven't gotten to that, I just tuck those pieces in and it's so much better. It doesn't bother me. It's like, for whatever reason, something about them like rubbing on my neck is like, ugh. It irritates me. So this is how I typically wear it. I'll just tuck it in there and then it's better. My husband was like looking one day and he was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, no. This is intentional. Leave it there. He was like, oh, okay. And then the one other thing is that for whatever reason, I'm kind of weird with sleeves. I used to like only make sleeveless dresses just because I would have struggled so much with when I wear something and you go to do this and it like cuts on your arm or cuts in here. And if I made sleeveless dresses, I didn't have that issue. I could do all of the movements and it was fine. This one, I'm pretty sure I didn't make any changes to the sleeve like length or anything. I just used the straight sleeve. So it ends, I think it's a really cute length, but for whatever reason I have noticed like when I do this, like you can kind of see, especially in this one, it starts like dragging on my bicep and then like kind of pulling up. So I don't love that. But my plan is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and I'm going to shorten it probably to just like a little cap sleeve, something like that. And that gives me like full range of movement and everything. And I think that that will be fine. And so for the next one, I think, I was telling my husband, the problem is that it ends there. It either needed to be a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, one or the other. And just because where that hem is, it just kind of cuts into my arm. So I think once I just shorten it up a little bit, it'll be perfectly fine. And so for my next version, I am planning to just shorten the sleeves or lengthen them, one or the other. Probably shorten because we're getting into Kentucky summer weather. Like, it's not going to cool down anytime soon. So probably shorter, something along the lines of like up here, and just do that. And then, like I said, tweak the neckline, and I think that that'll be perfect. The other thing that I will do is I will raise, I would like to put adjust the neckline. So as you can see, it kind of crosses over and does a sort of V. I would like it if there was like one more button worth in here, just because I have such a full bust and stuff. I like everything covered. It just makes me feel more comfortable. So because of the way that the V is and stuff, I can't really add another one in without it looking kind of weird. So my plan is what I'll do is I will just go in with the pattern, and it's so hard to show, just extend this straight bit up a little bit before I go into the V. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, so this is my Myosotis dress. Absolutely love it. I am a huge fan of Deer Doe patterns. They have been probably my most successful sewing pattern company makes. And I really, really enjoy using their patterns. So, a little sneak peek into the next project that I'm working on. I am a big fan of Janelle of Rosery Apparel. She has a YouTube channel and then also like a sewing pattern company. I love her videos. She's incredibly inspiring. She's one of the biggest reasons that I have been just dying to get back into doing sewing. And so she recently released a video where she was talking about, she pattern hacked one of her sewing patterns to be like this sort of like jumper pinafore dress. And I absolutely love it. And so I was going to use the sewing pattern that she was using because I have purchased that pattern. However, I realized that even her, we'll see, she sells her sewing patterns in 2 different size categories, and the one that I had purchased was the smaller size category instead of the larger size category. I am one of those people. I was bemoaning to my younger sister that I'm one of those people, I need the middle range. I don't need the tiniest sizes, and I don't need the largest sizes. I need that in between size. And I'm like, why don't pattern companies do it where either they give you all of the sewing patterns sizes in one thing, or why are there not middle ranges? I believe it's, oh, what's it called? Style Arc. They have that where you can get the smaller sizes, the larger sizes, or the middle sizes. And it's just so nice. So I cut out the largest size that I had in the pattern. I just cut the pattern out. And then I compared it to the Myosotis pattern. I was like, there is no way in a million years that this is going to fit. I'm not going to even bother. So instead, I just cut out another Myosotis dress, but just massively hacked it. And I'm working on making a little jumper dress, and we'll go into it in more detail on the next one, what I did and all of that, but I'm very excited. I'm planning to make it breastfeeding friendly, and I'm really excited to kind of talk through that. I'm trying out something different. Typically I would just put snaps in the shoulders, but I'm trying out something different, so we'll see if it works. I'll report back. But yes, I'm very excited. This fabric is perfectly springy, and I can't wait to work on this. I have been itching to work on it all week, and I'm hoping this weekend to have a little bit of free time that I can work on getting to the next stage in this. But yes, very excited about it. So that is all that I have to talk about today. Like I said, we're just going to be focusing on one project at a time, keeping these videos nice and short. That way too, if some people just aren't interested in sewing, and so if you're not really interested in it, you don't even have to watch it, but if you are, it's not like take up the whole day sort of a thing. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope you're looking forward to the rest of the series. At some point I would love to also do kind of some other like maybe kids sewing projects. Most of my sewing time is going to be focused on clothing myself because of the people in our family who need my sewing skills and my clothing sewing capabilities. It's me. So you can expect for this to be mostly dresses and things of that nature for myself. But yeah, I hope that you're looking forward to it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!